Hi, this is Dr. Rogini. So we'll be talking about how to shift your current consciousness into your desired consciousness. So we are multidimensional beings. So every time we grow and expand, our desires and value system do change. And for some of you, it may change very fast. For some of you, it may take a little bit longer. It all depends. Everyone has their own speed. You have to go with what works best for you. So today we will talk about a little bit more on how your central nervous system, your brain, and your spinal cord is just a gateway. It's just a gateway to connect to your higher self. So to be able to manifest and bring the desires that you deserve at this moment of time, okay? So if you really understand, I'm just going to try to explain it logically so it's more knowledge, but really you have to shift that within yourself. You have to sit and meditate and feel the shift happening within your body. Okay, so if you look at your present moment, if something is not really working out for you, you have to ask yourself, to which consciousness are you hooked on right now? So your spinal cord, your brain, right? They're this gateway. We think that they're the gateway, and they're actually hooked onto different consciousness depending on your past experiences, depending on your karmic patterns, depending on how your parents raised you up, right? And so what you're gonna do is consciously you have to unplug from whatever you hooked on and plug into the desire that you want. But how do you know what you deserve and what your desires are, right? So in order to find that out, it all depends based on your experiences. Some of you already kind of know deep down this is what you want, but some of you need to go through trial and errors to see what do you really want. So I'm one of those. I need to go through those experiences to taste the flavors of life and then decide what I want. I'm pretty good quickly to decide what's not for me because I can feel it in my gut, right? But some of you don't know if you really want it. Even when you have it, you're like, is this for me or is it not for me? You're just not sure. Okay, so through your experiences, once you go through these experiences and you decide what's for you and what's not for you, because it's really like, let's say you're exposed or put in front of a situation that's really, it's for you, you can actually feel it. You can feel it's your heart is just calling for you. It just feels right. And that takes practice to get to that feeling, because usually we use our mind to make a decision. And most of the time when we use our mind to make a certain decision, it's usually based on, we use our logical judgment, we judge it and all that stuff, and then we make a decision. And most of the time it doesn't work out. But when you go from heart-centeredness and really feel from it, because then you're making a decision that's not wasting your time and your energy. Now it's going to be more aligned with you. Does that make sense? So you have to ask yourself, what's your current consciousness? What are you hooked onto that you don't like, that you're not comfortable with? For example, if your life feels unstable, or if you feel like you deserve something better than this, right? Or you feel like your life is constantly fluctuating too fast. It's not necessary. You realize you don't need to go through that. So let me give an example. I have like a lot of patients actually. Let me just give you one example. And they talk about how they fall all the time. Every time they come in, they have a new fall. And that's what they attract. And they give excuses like, oh, it's my vision, or it's because of the environment, or it's always about something else, instead of being present and consciously asking yourself, why are you choosing always to trip yourself? Because it's a pattern, right? And they don't realize they deserve better. Once they are aware of it and they shift that perception, Now you all of a sudden notice those small trippings don't happen all the time. You don't injure yourself as frequently, it gets less and less. So that's a worthiness to shift your mindset, because this person, for example, would say, oh yeah, the fall is resetting my system. But then they're always attracting a fall, another fall, another fall, right? And then you have to start asking yourself, don't you think there's something better, higher that serves you? Right? So just be aware of your patterns. If I look, for example, at some patients' history, medical history, you see some of them have serious issues one year after another. There's all these stuff. And then some of them have hardly anything. There's a pattern you see in them. You see their character is different. Their personality is different. The ones who have a lot of issues are always whining. I find that pattern. Some of them are always like in a victim mode. Some of them are never happy with themselves. The ones who have a lot of history, right? So you just have to be aware of what you deserve. So once you know, okay, let's unplug that consciousness. So if you're one of those who falls all the time, so you want to unplug it from there and plug it into a consciousness that you deserve better, nicer, a healthy life, right? Certain things in our life we can avoid, but we can control how we move, how we walk, and all that stuff, right? I understand people with certain disabilities, but if you don't have a disability, but if you're always hitting into a corner or your toe is always pushing into a door or whatever that is, then you have to ask yourself, is that a pattern that I am not aware of? But the minute you recognize it, you're like, oh yes, I'm doing this all the time. Let me ask a question to yourself and ask yourself, how is it serving me? You know it's not, right? And the minute you ask, you feel this expansion within yourself. That's how you break your patterns. And sometimes, depending on the situation, the question can change. So it's not always the same question. You got to ask questions that's higher than where you are in your life. Instead of asking why me, you can ask, how is this helping me? Why am I choosing to be in this situation? Right? So it makes it more like, okay, create like an open-ended question so you can actually expand. If you have a closed-ended question, you shrink. Does that make sense? So if you meditate on a regular basis, you do a lot of breath work, you will be able to separate yourself from the distractions, from the destructive energy as well. So this way you're aware of yourself and you can make your decisions in terms of what your desires are. And you can ask Source to provide guidance of your desires, because sometimes I don't know, like I think this is what I want, and then all of a sudden Source shows it to me, you deserve something better, right? Or sometimes I don't even know what I want. I get to a certain level, I'm like, I don't know, you know what, I just let it be. Source will provide it me, show it to me, and eventually it will come into my field. I was like, oh wow, this is exactly what I want, right? For me, it comes in terms of images. I see like a quick vision and it comes and goes. Sometimes in my dream, I get it as well. It doesn't have to be always items or luxury stuff and the things that I desire. It could be just working with energies, what I need to do, what I need to teach, or it could be even about in terms of like, just trying to think of an example. Okay, can't think of an example right now, but yeah, so just be aware of your inner guidance. So the more you do cleansing work, the more you are clearing your chakras and setting new intentions, you become a little bit more clear and clear what your desires are, okay, and what will serve your your purpose on earth, and which changes all the time. It's never consistent, it evolves, especially when you're breaking these behaviors or breaking mental habits or thinking habits, and you realize, oh yeah, I do deserve better, right? And once you start to shift into a new consciousness, so you actually activate the pathway and really, as I said, unplug, plug into a new one, and you can start feeling the shift within yourself. You can feel the energy expanding. You feel like your life is more stable. It's more about the present moment. It's not about getting there. It's about how you're feeling at this moment. So you shift your energy from feeling a little bit, unstable, to stability, to joy, to fun, to play, to even unconditional love, right? So it's all about bringing that presence and expanding and allowing yourself to get into that spaciousness. And that's where we manifest, in that calm, relaxed state, and then you feel your abundance in there. Okay, it feels amazing when you're in there. And you learn to hold in that state longer and longer and longer. It takes time, practice, and consistency, integrity. So you have to be very conscious and be aware of what you do every single day. Okay? Just want to make sure I covered what I wanted to cover today. And as I mentioned last time, I'm actually working on that 21 days spiritual detox. It's going to be an amazing program. It's going to be 21 days. You can finish it sooner. I'm still working on it. I haven't released it yet. And it's going to be also, you're going to learn how to become more intuitive through the 21-day process. You become more clear with your vision. You become aware of the surrounding. You become aware, basically your awareness will start to expand. You'll be able to recognize your own limitations and learn to also feel energies. So we will do a lot of work in that 21 days, and you are going to start to, it's basically, I'm going to combine my 20 years of experience of spirituality and chiropractic and Kriya Yoga, through my experience with my mentors. So I'm going to put it all together in 21 days. It's going to be more refined, more easier than what I had to go through. So it's easier for you to learn it and pick it up. And I'm going to do the videos, and it's going to be set in certain vibration. So it's not only about the information that's coming through, it's about the feeling that vibration as you're watching the video. So you have to remember, sometimes you want to know a lot of information, a lot of knowledge, but knowledge and wisdom, they're totally different things. Wisdom is something you feel from inside. That's something you cannot fully explain, but you can feel it. And knowledge is just more noise to our head, okay? Everyone has different ways of saying things. I can define the same thing right now in one way, and somebody else would define the same thing that I'm talking about with different words, right? So I said multidimensional. I used the word the gateway from your central nervous system to connect into the consciousness. So it all depends. Every cultures and religions have different ways of calling it. At the end, most of the time, it's the same thing. So whatever you feel like you're connected to, at the end, it's all about feeling that vibration and transmuting and transcending that, so you can really alchemize and shift the metal into gold. So thank you for watching. I'll see you back on the next video.